Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, Chris D Redefined. It's been a little while since I did a long video, and I have to admit today's not great. This past few days have not been great. I had some really rough news on my end, and it's got me. I'm really strong, but it's got me shook. So I'm just wanted to kind of share with you because I have ups and I have downs like everyone else, and I usually do more upbeat videos, but this week has been really rough for me. So what's been going on? First of all, I'm battling a cold, so that's also not helping, and the cold is always I always get a cold when I get emotionally stressed out or really physically, which the gym doesn't even count because I work out all the time. But, if I really push myself physically, I'll also get sick. But for sure, emotional stuff it turns into a cold for me. So what's been happening? So like 3 days ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I found out that one of my very best friends of 27 years suddenly passed away. I didn't expect it. Now, it's true, since I moved here let me start from the beginning. Back in 1999, I started lifting weights in my life, and it turned into one of my passionate pastimes. In fact, I'm addicted to the gym. I'm a gym rat. And I eventually, in 2003, became a personal trainer. How did this happen? It happened because I walked into what's now gone. It's gone. It became a huge skyrise. But I walked into a gym in Center City, Philly called the 12th Street Gym. And I went, and I knew I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I was athletic, but I didn't know what I was doing. And so I looked along the wall of trainers, and I saw a picture of a guy that I knew. And I was like, oh, okay, he's a trainer here. And I worked with him at a restaurant in Philadelphia, actually a nightclub in Philadelphia, and he was one of the bouncers. And I didn't realize he was a trainer. So I approached him and I said, hey, I joined the 12th Street Gym and I need a trainer. That was back in 1999. I remember the week. It was the week before Thanksgiving. And he said, oh, you're going to eat too much and you won't train again after that. And that's not true. I wound up training with Danny for two times a week religiously. I rarely missed a training session. And I trained with him 2 times a week for 4.5 years until I moved to Maui, Hawaii. So from 1999 to 2003, I trained with Danny. And even after I moved to Hawaii and I had a baby, I still remain close to him. Danny and his wife visited me once on Maui for my son's 3rd birthday. They came out. I remember that. And, sometimes there's just somebody special that you connect with, and that was Danny. Like right away, I just knew that he would be a very special person in my life. And he was. He was always patient. I was going through a lot of drama when I first started lifting weights. And just my personal life was crazy. And he would always, one thing he always used to say to me was, Miss Chrissy, ain't no throwing up, ain't no crying, and ain't no fainting in the gym. So before you do one of those things, you better let me know. And I used that with my own clients later, like years later when I became a personal trainer. And I became a personal trainer because of him, because he really inspired this love of lifting weights. I just loved lifting weights with him, and he was the only person that I liked to train with. And people always like, oh, Chris, you want to train? And I'm like, no. The only person I ever liked training with was Danny. As friends, your friends will ask you, oh, why don't you come to the gym and train? And train with me. And I'd always turn him down because the only person I ever want to train with was Danny. And So sorry, I guess it's just hitting me now. So he really inspired that career for me, and I passed down the same way that he taught me. I taught other people, and everything I know about muscle hypertrophy, muscle recovery. I mean, I learned a lot on my own, of course, but a lot of the form on how to do things I learned from him, and he just inspired me. And even though I moved to Hawaii, through the 20 years I lived there, every time I came home to visit family, I always made it a point to visit and have lunch with Danny and find out how his family was. And I think I visited once, and for some reason I stayed in one of his homes. He has a home in North Philly, and he fixed it up really nice for me and me and my son, and we stayed there when I think my son was probably, I don't know, 6 years old or something, maybe 7. And yeah. And then when I lived in Philly for 2 years, there was 2 years in those 20 that I lived in Hawaii. I moved back to Philly for 2 and made sure to get together with Danny, at least a couple times a month. And then I moved away again. I moved back to Hawaii. And then I moved over here to Portugal. And since I moved to Portugal, I have to admit I only saw him one time. That was in August of 2024. And that was the last time I saw Danny. Yeah, he's not really good on the phone. He had like a flip phone, so he wasn't good at texting, and I get once, since I moved here to Portugal, maybe I got one text from Danny, maybe 2 at the most. But when every time I went back to Philly, I would make sure to visit with him. So the last time I saw him was August of 2024. And I saw him at Reading Terminal Market in Philadelphia. That's real close to 12th Street Gym, where we used to train together. And we had lunch there. That's common. That was usually where we met up, is at 12th Street Gym. Reading Terminal Market at 12th and Market. And that's where we got together for lunch all the time after I moved to Hawaii and then after I moved to Portugal. So 3 or 4 days ago, I got a text from his phone, and it wasn't him. It was his wife saying that he had passed. And I posted on my Facebook page how important he was to me. He was just a grounding force. One of those people that is, when you're in their presence, you're calm. Like he was big, 6'2", all muscle. Danny, he was just Danny the Master, I called him the Master because he was just great at lifting weights and taught me everything I knew. And he was just one of those guys. No matter what my day was crazy, if I went to go train with him, he would say, "Girl, you look a little upset. You want to walk around the block a little bit?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I need to walk around the block, Danny." So he'd walk me around the block around 12th Street until I calmed down. He'd say, you ready to train now, girl?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, Danny, thanks." And then we'd hug it out, and then we'd go train. But he always made the time. If I looked upset, he always made the time to make sure he'd listen, and he would calm me down. And his wife said that he died. I just talked to him on March 8th, and he died on April 25th. And I talked to him for a long time about the state of the world and what's going on in the world. And then I got the text from his wife saying that he had passed. He had a heart attack, and she said they were devastated. She and her daughter, so Sabrina and her daughter, really devastated and don't know what they're going to do, and they're holding each other tight through all of this. And I sent her the few pictures I had of he and I in my phone, and said, "Hey, I just wanted you to know how important he was to me." And I sent her a long message about how important he was, that he was just one of my bestest friends pretty much since the day I met him. And it's just one of those things where you meet somebody and you just know that you're going to be really important to each other. And she said that he always considered you one of his family, Chris. And so I'm just really rocked by that. And I haven't heard from my son in it's coming up on 3 months now, which is just really long. And so, that, and, just what's going on with the world. A couple days ago, of course, this Supreme Court, the 6 judges that are freaking insane and bought off by corporate money, voted to pretty much destroy the Voting Rights Act. So brown and black people will have a lot less value in their votes now than whites. In every state can gerrymander, can redistrict now, and make areas of prominently brown and black U.S. citizens, their votes, they can kind of redistrict it such that they're breaking apart the black or brown communities, or they are putting them all in one district, and so there's only one representative for all the brown and black people that live all over the state. So they're either cracking apart a black and brown community, or they're packing them together, which is completely unfair. So I'm outraged about that, and the whole country is outraged by it. Today is May 1st. It's May Day. We're supposed to be no work, no shopping, and no school. So I, of course, am involved with a couple groups, and I advocated for, doing any of those things that you're comfortable with. No shopping, no work, no school, in protest, especially now, given how they have decimated the Voting Rights Act. So that, and I think I also didn't do well. I failed my Portuguese composition exam midterm and my Portuguese grammar midterm. I failed that. I think I might have just passed the comprehension part, the listening comprehension, and I always do pretty well in conversation. But so far, I think I'm failing I'm failing my Portuguese B2 level, which I'm taking for the second time. And I just had a quiz yesterday, and I don't think I did well because just Danny's on my mind, and I'm just been real upset for the last couple of days. So sometimes you just, I'm just getting that age. I'm not 60 yet, but I'm in my late 50s. So just getting to that age where, I'm losing people. I'm starting to lose people. I, lost my dad, 13 years ago now, maybe? No, well, gosh, 15 years ago now. But, I think it's just getting to that age where I'm going to start losing people. And it's hard because I might not see you all the time as a friend. I might not be able to touch base or, see you all the time. But the people that I'm close to, I really consider them like family to me. And Danny was he's been like my family for 27 years. And there were so many horrible times in my life that I really needed to lean on him. By going to the gym and talking to him. And he was always there for me, always making sure that I was okay before, he's like, "You done? We're done training. You all right, girl? You want to go out for another cup of coffee or what? How you feel?" Always checked with me. And it's just really hard to know that he's suddenly not here. Although I do believe in them being with you, just not in a form that you can talk to, or a form that you can see and touch. But I do believe that the person is there in the way that you remember them, that they're like actually standing there next to you. You just can't see them. So I just wanted to share that Danny meant just everything to me, and that some days despite being always jovial and always upbeat, that some days there's some really tough days. And I just put one foot in front of the other. And I keep going because that's just who I am. I don't do that whole drinking or like locking yourself in a room and eating bonbons, and that I don't do. I go about my usual schedule, but in the back of my mind, there's always, if I'm having a bad day, there's the sadness. So, yeah, lots on my mind this week. I should be like, rah, rah, let's go May Day, making sure that we're not shopping, we're not, if you cannot go to work, don't go to work. If you cannot send the kids to school, don't send the kids to school. We want to send a message to this regime and to the corporate, the oligarchies, the billionaire parts, the Epstein elitists, that we're your bread and butter, the American people. And so we can stop at any point, and you would be dead in the water, so to speak. So, but if you're having a bad day, just one breath at a time, one step at a time, and reach out to people who can help you get through your day. And that's how I do when I'm this low. Thanks for tuning in. If I know this isn't the best content, but please hit subscribe if you want to learn more about me. I've got lots of episodes at this point, so I hope that you subscribe. Thanks.